So, good morning. Today is August 7th, 2021. Shout out to Oz and Mr. Randall Opinions While Black podcast on Monday. And then I stole from them NSFW. What we're going to talk about today is not safe for whites. Okay? So I want to begin with the COVID uh, debacle we have going on, which is moving President Biden's approval ratings down. But now what we have to decide upon and become aware of that we're not on the number of individuals that voted for President Biden literally outnumber the individuals that voted for Donald Trump. However, we're now at a standstill because the majority of those that voted for Donald Trump have not gotten vaccinated. They are your vaccine X people. They don't want to get the shot because they think blah, 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 blah. So they're not vaccinated. Those of us that voted democratically are majority vaccinated. So mm, how is he going to get his approval ratings up if the people that are pulling them down are not vaccinated and are not Democrats, and they're not off-brand. They're the Trump and McCarthy and Biden and Graham. Oh my God, they're all in a coalition working against the vaccine. Don't know how he's going to get out of it, but it's going to take a lot of prayer because he actually has to convince those 71 million that voted for Donald Trump to get their behinds to a spot to get vaccinated so that America can get back to some semblance of reality. That's just one. Number two is the no guns. We cannot seem to get through the Senate nor the Congress any legislation about looking again, reviewing where we should be with gun control. I know the NRA is filing bankruptcy. I know that the new code name for the NRA is the KKK because they are the only ones that have the GUNS, the guns. You've been giving them to them since President Obama was elected. So now your gun legislation that you are denying right now needs to come up again, and you and the Congress and the Senate need to take another look at this gun legislation. You know you're wrong. I don't have to tell you how wrong you are. You know you're wrong. Because one thing, you still think it's okay to kill me, African American men. Okay? You still think it's okay to kill me, African American women. You have no hesitancy. Don't think anything about pulling the trigger on anybody that's African American. And quite frankly, they can be old female, young female, child female. They don't care. They will pull their guns and use their guns on us. Now, what's got to happen? You know what's got to happen. You know good and well, we have to have a real conversation about gun legislation. How many guns can you have? Maybe not the answer. How many rounds of ammunition do you have? Might be an answer. How many of those what do they call them? The little guys you pull the pin and they all blow up. How many of you have those bombs? You know you got them. You know if you were in the Vietnam War, if you were in not the Taliban, but the Afghanistan or Kabul, you know you brought shit back. So now, who are you going to use it against? I hope you don't come after us because they're too. That wouldn't be a nice look. And I know you don't care about how you look, but that would not be a good look. So I'm suggesting that, especially the Texas law, where you can actually carry your gun outright, I can see you, and you can use it any way you see fit. No, 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 no. Come on now. You need to step up and take care of gun legislation. You know, too many assassinations, too many, oh my God, huge killings. You have to come back and take another look at gun rights legislation. This thing about election security. Now, y'all get off of it. We're being ugly. You know you're being ugly. I'm sorry. Since 1968, actually, it was when let's see, we started out with the white man, and then the 1921 gave the white woman the right to vote, but also the black men were voting with the white men. They rigged that election. They have been stealing elections since day one. Okay, so you've been stealing elections since day one. So what election security are you talking about? Just because you didn't win this time, just because a lot of people got up and went to the polls to vote on the other side, yeah, it's going to happen again. We're going to have skin in the game. We're going to have to be talking about those folk that represent us, that they too are looking at this election in security. I'm saying the election was secure. I don't think we could have done any better. I don't think we could have done any better of a job than the one we did this year. So you need to come back and you have to take another look at election security. There's nothing wrong with the way we're doing it. It's just that when everybody does it, that increases the number of people that go to the polls and vote. If everybody's going, then yes, you're gonna have people of color that are gonna push their envelope, whatever it is, however they want to sit at the table and whatever food they want to eat at this table, they have the right to sit at the table and talk shit if they must. Yeah, I said that. And I mean, my God. You You're continuing to be ugly. There's nothing wrong with the way we vote. The only thing you hope is that we don't go to the vote. I'm sorry, people of color, black, brown, other people of color. I'm gonna talk about you in a minute. You know what I'm saying? We are going to have to start pressing our representatives to do their job, not the job that they want to do, but the job that I want to have done, because they are there representing us. Okay, that's three. The last thing is Roe v. Wade. You have got men, you have got to get your hands out of a woman's body. Get your restrictive mind on reproduction. It's not your business. And I recognize that Congress is 73% male and it is 71% white male. Okay? So that means there's a lot of people in Congress and the Senate that are not voting for women's rights. They're voting against women's rights. And we're going to have to remember their names. It will come up again. But all I can say is at 75, I'm thankful. I'm not worried. But had I been a young woman, trust me, the moral right, what you're failing to realize is that I always, at that time when I was in the childbearing age bracket, I always had money to get out of this country because I know you guys were fickle when it comes to abortion. So me getting pregnant in the early days, it was just a snap for me to have my money set aside in case I wanted to abort the baby. Fortunately for you, I only had to use that option once. Okay? I do not appreciate the fact that you are not letting every other woman have the same options. You have no right in my business. You are a man. Your anatomy won't even fit mine, or is not like mine. It'll fit to create children. But come on, man. You already know that your concerns for Roe v. Wade, they shouldn't even be out there. Because first of all, you do not have control of my body. You're a man. How you've taken your thoughts and put them into this system and have massaged it to where we can always come back up to white privilege. That's all that's all we're talking about with COVID, white privilege. Those of you that voted for Trump that don't want to get vaccinated because they are the unvaccinated. I got to put up with that. But you got to change your attitude in order to get out of this condition called COVID. Gun rights, we're not trying to rebuke the government or downplay um uh, homeowners' rights, but now physically coming out, showing me your gun when we are not at war makes me feel uncomfortable. And maybe it's just me. I don't know. But my God, I'm just asking you to rethink your gun legislation. Roe v. Wade, get your hands off my body. Get your hands out of my body. Get your hands off the mind of a woman, because you're not a man, you're not a woman. So you can't get to where I am. You'll never feel what I feel. That ain't in your nature. That's not even in your anatomy. So how can you get up and create this law for me? It's not your right to do that. It is not your right to do that. I'm just saying. So now, the things that are bugging the Democrats, and I'm gonna have to say this, look here, people. Y'all have been fooling around for over 20 years. Because I've been voting for a good part of those years. I kept hoping things were going to change. And over the people coming in, they always said, blah, 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 blah. That's how it all comes out to me in the end. Because in the final analysis, you have not done that one thing. And I don't want to go back over my list of how ugly you've been. But you know how ugly you've been through all of this legislation that votes and does not have my interest at heart. I dare you come out here talking anything. God Almighty. When you try to do this, you don't want to get mad. You don't want to sound irritated all the time. But I am quite frankly irritated because you have been people, Democrats, you've been in power a long time to come up with nothing in the end. So you weren't prepared for Donald Trump, so you didn't know how to counteract all the bullshit that he put out in the universe. Then when you got to Joe Biden, you're not going to protect him because, he's got a point, but we're going to give him the war, and that's where he's going to have problems. Not your business. White folk, white men, it's not your business. I have problems with the white woman. You have had the pleasure or the privilege when your spouse voted Republican and you voted Democrat and the Republicans won, you were good because your white privilege was still in place. Fast forward to the 2020 elections. Who went to those that voted for Joe Biden, I'm sorry, those that voted for Donald Trump, they were in the 71 millions, and I don't know how many of those were women, but a lot of them were women, and the others voted for Joe Biden, and he won. But it was the push of your minority communities that enabled Joe Biden to win. If you just look at how many black people went to vote, how many brown people went to vote, how many people of color went to vote, when you look at all those, they're going to be women, number one, going to the polls and vote. hmm And number two, they chose this time to vote in a democratic manner. And then when everything gets settled, as you all call yours settling, now we have problems. Now we have grave problems. Now we have reminding problems of like, oh yeah, I remember going through this with, let's fast forward. Oh, I got it with Barack Obama. Yes, he put certain things through the Congress and the Senate. And the Senate had the nerve to say, was that John Boehner? John Boehner? That we are not going to do anything to support Barack Obama. The only thing you're going to support him in was bailing out the car industry, the automotive industry. He did that. And your white wives were with you when he did that. But now we're down to 2020 and you have some questions or you vote cruelly. You women that went to the polls and voted for Donald Trump, you know you're doing a cruel thing. You know you were doing a cruel thing. And then those of you all that were married to Democrats, it depends on how you were feeling when you went to the polls to vote. But let's just say you have some things you have to look at that you're gonna have to correct, that you're gonna have to do better. You're gonna have to do better with this COVID process. You're gonna have to do better with these gun laws. You're gonna go do better with this election security, and you need to do better with Roe v. Wade. One thing I've noticed about doing this podcast is if you're not careful, you're not clearly understood because people can get too much of your blah, that, yeah, whatever. So I'm trying to use words. I have my teeth in. I remember to do that today. And just kind of massage not my spirit about what's in front of me right now. And I just got 4 issues that I'm talking about today. Just 4. Because we can all agree that anger is real and climate change is real. So I've said this before. The new census data says that the white population is decreasing again. That means it decreased in 2020, it decreased in 2010. Yes, there are some 131 million Americans here. They've been a part of this 245-year history, but we are really just 50 states masquerading as a democracy. You know, I say this all the time too. A woman must not be taught the predictability of a man. Instead, she must be taught to predict herself. That's Susan Anthony, and you can't get beyond that. When we talk about these rights, all these laws, these COVID laws, these gun laws, this election security, and the Roe v. Wade, huh, black people have no rights that a white must respect. So this is the deal. You creating laws, you're creating the Roe v. Wade, taking away Roe v. Wade, making it difficult for individuals to get abortions. But what you're failing to realize that your women, they're putting their money aside too. Because if white women don't want children, there will be no children. And you need to get real and get ready for that. Number two, you will never get back to full just white separatists because too many of your white women also are involved in a, other racial intermarriages. Or, yeah, I think that's what I want to say. I didn't write that down, so this is from my heart and from my head. But yeah. So, white women have been stepping outside of their marriages for a good deal, and they've been producing children. So now your hmm, white population has decreased. There's nothing you can do with that except, yes, I know it was a pause. It was a long pause, and I apologize for that. But I was saying, when you think about rights, the only people that have rights right now are the white man and the white woman. And in the days of in the 1921, when white women got the right to vote, black men were in that percent that went to the polls to vote. How'd they get there? Because if you were male and you were on a slave plantation, you were owned by you had a slave owner. The slave owner counted you, men, as as individuals able to vote for the president. So now in 1921, there are no women voting. None, None. Okay? It was only the black men and the white men that were voting. Although the black man was still a slave, they still took those men numbers and turned them into political advantages. So now you all have been cheating at this thing called voting for a long time. You've been cheating at this thing called viruses for a long time. You have been cheating at gun legislation for a long time. And you've been cheating at Roe v. Wade because you all got up and you looked and you said, "Oh, my wife is not having any babies. She doesn't want any more babies. So we're not having I don't have a child. So what I'm gonna do is force the white woman to have more children." This thing of Roe v. Wade, it has nothing to do with black women, nothing to do with brown women, nothing to do with dark brown women, nothing to do with women, period. So since it has nothing to do with us, I suggest you get your hands out of it. Okay, but you know what? I'll be talking about this for a couple of days because it's on my heart, and I don't want to seem what is that? I don't want to seem not lucid. So I'm gonna pause right here. I'm gonna let it be what it be because I'm unhappy right now. This thing, racism, does not have a silver lining. And there's no way you can work your way out of it. No matter how much you try, you cannot work your way out of racism. And racism itself has no silver lining. So all of these laws that you all have created always work against the African American. I'm going to ask the women now. Yes, I'm all right. I'm doing my podcast. Did I do what? Yeah, my insulin? Yeah, I've done all that. All right, well, check again. All right. Thank you. Bye bye. So you guys forgive me. I'm sick and there's nobody here except me. So my sons are calling to find out whether or not I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, which is be in my bed. So I'm not in my bed because I'm doing my podcast. But as soon as I finish my podcast, I am going to get back in the bed. I'm not supposed to be putting any weight on my leg. And so that's just the kids, my kids, calling to check on me. And I appreciate the calls. You all that are young, man, just appreciate being young, whatever age you are. Just appreciate being that age and doing the best you can with what you have to work with. And please, I know in 2024 we're gonna have to look at another way to win elections. We're gonna have to go when we need to go, when they tell us to go. We need to be sure that the folk are there for us. It was a smooth transition in Houston in terms of voting. So some cities have it better than others. I appreciate the fact that I'm in Texas and that voting is not going to be that difficult. But voting is going to be important, but there's some things that have to come with this voting. And that means people of color are going to have to get way better at who they're casting their votes for. Because for apparently, for the last 21 years, hello, just the last 21 years. I'm sorry. I got to get my calculator on this. This is 2021 minus just 21. We just start with the 19. 1921. You've had 100 years. Oh my God. Let me just do 2021. 2021 minus 1921 when women got the right to vote. So when white voting took off, that's 100 years. You Republicans, you've had 100 years to make this country right, and you haven't. You've lied to the people. You've lied to all of them. You created laws, amendments, legislation that only did good things for you. Whoever you are in the Senate, whatever your name is in the Congress, you have not served us well. Not at all. If I go back to just your voting in 1921, I'm gonna be careful. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna say most of the people I know 2021, and I'm gonna say 2021. I'm gonna say that we really didn't get to real vote to 1968 1968. You still had 53 years to do something better. And those of you that have been sitting in Congress longer than 20 years, you need to be gone because you're not working with what a democracy looks like. The Supreme Court is not doing its job. The Congress is not doing its job. The Senate is not doing their job. And when these three entities do not do their job, that means people outside their orbit are in trouble. And so where are we now? We're outside the orbit and we're in trouble. Women, we're in trouble. COVID, we're in trouble. Gun rights, we're in trouble. Election security, we're in trouble. We have to become active participants in this thing called a democracy. And it is with haste that we need to go and let our voices be heard. White separatists, white nationalists, will not be able to endure by 2030 because we have too many. Let me see. What do you want to call? You want to call them brown folk now? They're going to be brown. And remember, you have not changed. Is it no? The one drop makes you non-human. The 3/5. You know what I'm talking about, folk. The 3/5 law. that African American was only 3/5 human. It's still on the books. Just like you lynching me, it's still on the books. Just like how you treated George Floyd, it's still on the books. You have not done. Ooh, I don't want to go on a rant today, and I don't want to start cursing. So I'm just gonna let it be. You have been so dirty in these three areas. Don't let me put housing in here, and don't let me put banking in here. Don't let me put hospitals in here, and don't let me put education in here. How you have marginalized all the monies that could come into our community, and you are still trying to promote this thing called white nationalism, or it's okay to be a white supremacist. I'm just saying, while you have the guns, you don't have the numbers. Now, if you're saying you're ready to take your guns out and just start killing me every time you see a black person, okay. But the thing of it is, guys, if I got up this morning and my skin was black, and you got up this morning and your skin was white, what am I supposed to tell you? Am I supposed to kill you because you're black? Would that do it for you? You want me to kill all black people and just be white people and brown people? And now you have the nerve to call those coming from Kabul and Afghanistan dark brown? You got a bunch of nerve, white man. So now we have the white women. You really need to join forces, man. We need you. We need Belinda Gates and Jeff Bezos. You women that are at the top, married to multimillionaires. Come on, do better. Do better. Support all women. How is it that you can see us struggling and you just pressing all your diamonds? Come on now. You know you're wrong. I'm just a person ranting because I'm so sick of seeing it. I don't know what to do. But come on, white women. Come on, white women. You've got to do better. Because if they're already coming after you, they don't want they don't want you to have abortions. They don't want you to use the IUD. They don't want you to take the pill. All they want you to do is pump babies out. And you're saying you have another agenda. Well, fine. You have another agenda. But now you got to help everybody else. Because everybody else needs some help. Okay? And to the extent that you are married to men that provide privilege for you, with all of your privilege, you should be looking how to lift somebody else up. And I don't know, I'm talking about all my millionaires, Oprah and Rihanna. Hey man, all the senators and Congress people hey man, that have taken the money, that have made themselves into the thousandaires or millionaires or billionaires. Depends on how long you've been there and who you've been doing business with. Because we all know you have not been doing business for me. So how do you get to stay there so long? How have you been able to convince the majority of people that your philosophy is the correct one? I'm having a hard time because the people that I know, they're not happy with this thing called politics right now. We have a lot of political insecurities. Okay, and you know what they are. You got a housing insecurity. You got an economic. Let me talk about the economic insecurity. You got a food insecurity. You got a housing insecurity. You have education insecurity. You have a labor insecurity. And my God, let's not talk about law. hmm You still haven't passed HR 4. You haven't passed the Emmett Till anti anti-lynching uh, bill. You haven't passed the George Floyd bill, criminal activity, police brutality bill. It's a lot of work you haven't done. And you cannot do all this. You cannot, it will not get done as long as white men continue to run everything. Congress has 73% of the population, and 71% of this 73 are men. And more importantly, more than likely, there are way more white men than there are others. So who's in there for our agenda? I've spent 35 minutes talking to you. Whose agenda? Who we gonna look at now? Do you? I'm so glad I'm old. Because if Abbott thought his law was going to prevent me, he was wrong. He might as well get that through his head. You're wrong. People on the judge, Kavanaugh, you all are wrong. You have no right to be in my body. Number one, take care of your own body. You got enough going on. I'm just saying. And I'll be talking about this tomorrow too. I want you guys to look at the dialogue that is spanning our TVs now. That you have the white women or you have whites. I'm about ethnic groups now. So there are whites, there are blacks, there are brown. Now they're tinkering with in the news, casually saying dark brown, and the dark browns are from Afghanistan and Kabul. Dark brown. And then other women of color, those will be your Asians and all those other Native Americans and islanders and they have a seat too. And poor women. And here again, white women, the ones that are poor, you are poor. So I'm gonna ask you. I'm asking all women, just women. One, to get men out of our body, but two, let's think strategically about how we're going to vote to improve our conditions. Because right now, nobody's conditions are getting supported, and it's kind of sad. I'm exhausted just listening to the news, and I can only do it for 1 or 2 days, and then I have to go into the dribble of bullshit, and then I come back trying to be humorous and listen to it again. But it's too much going on. It's too much wrong going on. So my thing today is to ask individuals, principally white individuals, more specifically white women, to come on. Let's get on this train of, you know what? I might be well doing my white privilege, but my sister's not, because you see me too. Not everybody in the store that you go to can afford what you're fixing to buy. And how you can casually sit by and promote all the bullshit that your husbands are putting on the majority of the population. It's amazing to me you haven't done anything. Haven't said anything. Haven't said, baby, please don't do that. That's not logical. So you're not talking to your men, which is why they're out here pissed and want to restrict your ability to have children. When these laws ain't got nothing to do with nobody but white women. You don't care if black women still have babies. You don't care if brown women have babies. You don't care if the dark brown women have babies. You don't care if the people of color, my Asians, my Native Americans, my islanders, you don't care. And my poor, you don't care about the poor. I'm talking about the poor white that have not been able to get to the polls, to go to the polls and vote bullshit for Trump. You're not caring. And what I need is somebody to care. Somebody needs to pick up a mantle and say, this is wrong. What we're doing is wrong. And we're done. And it's like a peace out, a timeout. I mean, I've not spoken in 2 or 3 days because it's just a lot going on. So until tomorrow, let's try to be safe. It's Tuesday. Let's try to be safe. Let's do the best we can do. Be as productive as we can be. And thank God for this day and these 86,400 seconds. And as we embrace this day, this Tuesday, may we be blessed and find joy. Yours in liberty, or as my mother used to say, joy on you. Yours in liberty.